I was very mindful with Bad Eggs to build the story that could be across print, gaming, animation, across live action. The premise has always been Bad Eggs doing good. It's 5 characters that live in a mansion, they go on adventures together. There's always a positive outcome. We're shortly going to announce a major global trading card partner. Music's a big piece of the brand. We announced Sony as our record label.
Tell me about your relationship with Gary Vaynerchuk. He's known worldwide for bringing a lot of intelligence to how people use social.
He's been the dream investor in terms of support, accessibility. They do a lot of media for big brands, so we get access to some unbelievable companies. Everything we do, a percentage will go back into doing good. And the aim will be that our community can tell us what needs help.
You know what I find interesting about you, Darran, is that you are 110% confident that this is going to work. And it seems like you already have seen where this is going.
People are ready for new things. And if it's new and you're honest and it's all coming from a good place and you are showing and also making yourself available, that was sort of a good learning from me coming out of Universal Studios, where it was very layered and corporate to try and get anything done.
What is Web3 to you? How do you explain it to people?
It's another channel to reach a community and fans. And it's coming. It is coming. I'm a big believer that we can rise the boat together.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Darran Garnham, the business leader, entertainment strategist, and investor. You have over 20 years of leadership experience in the global entertainment and toy industry, working with iconic brands like Pokemon, Toy Story, and Jurassic Park. You are the founder and CEO of Toikido, a creative studio with a mission to put toys into the heart of games. In the last 2 years, Toikido boasts over 4 billion game downloads and 1 billion toys manufactured. You started the company during lockdown in 2020 from your living room, and it is now an 8-figure business. Your latest project, Bad Eggs, is a collection of 1,500 blockchain-based, story-driven digital characters that will be featured in animated TV series, comic books, video games, and music. Ultimately, you believe that brands must move at the speed of culture in order to survive and succeed. Darran, welcome to London Real.
Thank you for having me.
I want to start by saying that Bad Eggs is one of our portfolio companies here at London Real Ventures. the world's first media-powered investment firm, where our mission is to transform the world by investing in cutting-edge Web3 and AI companies while giving our partners marketing exposure across the London Real Media platforms and academies. We heighten awareness, create customers, and build communities by leveraging our global audience and extensive network. Darran, we are super excited to be part of this journey with you. So let's jump in. What is Bad Eggs? What is Toikido?
Okay. I'm going to start by saying thank you for having me. Yourself and the London Real team have been fantastic. So thank you for all the support.
Thank you.
Bad Eggs. So we actually started the Bad Egg journey 2 years ago, whilst the project in the NFT launched in June this year. Actually, the story, the background, the investment from our side into the brand has been 2 years deep. So we didn't, a lot of the NFTs that come out, I felt would, and listen, I'm a collector, so I've got 5 digital wallets full of NFTs. I love supporting creators. I love supporting new brands. You never know what their journey is going to be, so I want to be on it as early as possible. And that's the same in some of the gaming partnerships we've got. But I wanted to launch something not as many projects launched, where they launch and then there's a bit of a war chest. And then it's, well, what do we do now? Shit. We've got this stuff. Now what do we do? So I was very mindful with Bad Eggs to build the brand, the story, and the depth that could be transferred across. I mean, transmedia is a word that I love, but it's absolutely true. So it would be character and story that could be across print, across gaming, across animation, across live action, across trading cards. So all of these things, listen, I'm a big kid. So all of those things that I collected as a kid or collected and resold to collect something else. And effectively, that's what NFTs are in many ways. They are, at so many of the conferences I've been to, the people collecting them collect something else. Like they collect, I collect hats, but they collect trading cards, or they collect, I mean, if you're at the upper echelon, some of them collect cars. But there's always another collection, and just naturally, human instinct is to collect things in some way, shape or form. Anyone watching this will have something that they have more than 3 of, and they've started a collection. They might not even know it. It might be the same mugs in the kitchen, but they have started a collection.
It's my suits, I just realized for me. It is. Some people collect kids. Right.
So that, I mean, that's where Bad Egg started. So we minted in effectively what was not a great market. Effectively, we'd done the work 2 years ago to mint the eggs, and we created 10,000 because obviously at that time the collections were quadruple 9, quadruple 6s, quadruple 5s. There was a rhyme and reason or not to the collection size. But we looked at where the market was. We honed that collection down. The team really deeply picked the 1,500. And then we launched on OpenSea and sold out within an hour, I think it was.
Wow.
And they were punchy. It wasn't that we launched for, I mean, they were $350 or ETH. So it wasn't like it was a small buy-in either. So listen, I'm proud of what we'd achieved, but that wasn't even day one. It's so funny because normally that would be like, right, it's day one. But actually that was like day 700.
Right.
But that was just the first time that we'd actually told people it existed.
Right. But you've been working on building the IP and the storylines and the characters for 2 years.
100%.
Wow. And it shows because it feels like a very mature, well thought out brand. It's interesting. It's almost like you feel there's a story behind it, even if you don't articulate it right away.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what it feels like.
Yeah. I mean, and eggs are fun. I mean, if you look at Kinder Surprise, I mean, there's a reason the kids gravitate to Kinder Surprise. A lot of the NFTs that you purchase are spinning eggs, or there's a reveal. You crack an egg. Is it double yolked? Is it not? I mean, we're even having a lot of fun. We've not told the community this, but we're having a lot of fun of one of the things that potentially we've got in the future of the eggs is airdropping an incubator. So do you want to incubate and crack your egg and see what's inside?
Right.
So there's a lovely narrative that can go along so that the formed egg is only the start of the journey. And then we've had great funds with the traits and the skateboards. But you know, Brian, the funny thing is, no matter how smart we think we are putting that backstory together, the audience and the community have picked up on things that we didn't lean into as heavily, which we are now leaning into because the community themselves, we have a little pigeon in some of the NFTs and a rat, and the community have gone wild over these two little so we've now we've dialed up their character in some of the story that's coming. Right. And as the animation progresses, you'll see them appearing as their own characters, which is going to be very interesting.
Wow, that's fascinating. Now, tell me this whole concept you have of kind of starting with Web3 and then taking that into all these other traditional forms of media, because it almost seems weirdly backwards. Or like you said, back in 21, 22, it felt like people would start with NFTs and that was it. Here's our NFT collection, goodbye.
Yeah.
We hope to do something with it, but not many things fleshed out off the back of it. Whereas you have a deep background in all of these things, but you have a whole plan for this transmedia launch.
I'm obsessed with being at the start of something, and even if it fails or even if it comes to nothing, having been part of the journey. Someone once said to me, and they nailed it. They said you enjoy the journey almost more than the exit, and that come from my own. I love renovating properties, but once I renovated, I like the journey of that and getting in early as well. There's also, if you look at, I've had it myself, which is I put myself quite out there in this Web3 space. I believe in it. I believe it's the future. Honestly, I'm such a believer that the biggest brands of tomorrow are going to come from this space, because the audience is growing daily, where the audience is reducing in other forms of entertainment. The youth of today, I gave a speech at my kid's school a few weeks ago, kind of what does dad do? And I was trying to work out which way to hone, I'm sure we'll come on to it, but we did the product for Among Us, for the video game. Now that's a game that everyone in that hall would have played. And that was my easy route into the conversation to these sort of 14 to 17-year-old. So just coming in GCSEs, A-levels. Actually, I lent into Web3. And I said, right, who's heard of the blockchain? Who's heard of NFTs? Who's heard of... And it's 90% of the hands.
Really?
And I'm looking around that room going, this is the future.
90?
Yeah.
Wow.
Honestly, incredible.
90 probably owned crypto or had an NFT or knew about it.
They just knew about it.
Yeah, okay.
They were native. So when this is coming up as the rest of the world, as we know, sort of certain countries are further ahead than others at the moment. But as the penny drops for those that are following, the generation, I'm going to say behind me because I'm sort of 47, but the generation maybe behind that one, it's just going to be part and parcel. So we want to create the entertainment today that feels very natural to where they're finding it. But at the same time, I'm very respectful of the fact that we do need to bring adopters in from other forms of entertainment as well. But the reason I said I kind of put my head up there is that I've been very vocal, whether it's on LinkedIn or on my socials, talking about my passion for this space. And there's a lot of the more traditional people in the entertainment space that are like, well, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, many of them said that when I worked at Moshi Monsters a decade ago. And I had to explain then what the digital power of that online game meant versus the eyeballs of a traditional TV platform. Right. So it's getting the narrative. Well, I've realized it's getting the narrative right. So if you look at our Discord at the moment, there's more people in our Discord than if you're bringing a movie out, you'll do test screenings to maybe 300 people. We're approaching 3,000 in Discord after 6 weeks, 7 weeks. So I've already got 10x a test audience that I can talk to every day. Right. I don't have to get them in a screening room for them to tell me that I'm doing things right or wrong, or have you seen this? Or so we've got people in front of us, and I tell you, the communication's positive. I'm loving it. Listen, I'm loving the journey. We like to say, show, don't say. So we're definitely showing, not saying something's coming. So when we announce stuff, it's done, it's signed. Doing some of those contracts from an NFT project, working with some of these big institutions, it's been a conversation. To say, well, look, this is the journey we're going to go on. But the penny's dropping, and I think between I'd say there's probably 10 projects out there. I mean, I saw the Doodles guys last week did an unbelievable launch with Pharrell at the Toronto Film Festival.
Okay.
And there's other people but the support system, we're supporting each other to kind of raise the industry up.
Okay.
I was in LA last week at some of the big lots, and there's not a lot of newness coming out of those lots at the moment.
No. They're sticking with the tried and trues. They're focused on quarterly earnings, and it's a lot of the same big tentpole IP, right?
Yeah, and listen, I don't criticize, because it pulls. I worked for Universal Studios for a while, and Fast and Furious, I mean, maybe up to 9 now, will still bring in $1 billion plus at the box office. So the numbers are still there, but I'm also aware that, I've got three kids. What's my 5-year-old's Transformers? Right? Should he have Transformers because his brother had it and his older brother had it? Or should he have something that he really feels true ownership of because it's new to him, or new to my goddaughters? So we're a big believer in, we call it creating remarkable brands, but trying to bring really truly new things to market. And I'd say outside Humpty Dumpty, I don't know another egg that has made the big screen. So that's our goal.
And what is the immediate plan with Bad Eggs? So you dropped these NFTs in June. You were out in LA. I think you also were at one of Gary Vee's events, and you were taking this bus along with my brand new basketball, which I appreciate and my boys are going to love, that's here. But how are you introducing it to the world? And then what's coming next? Because on your Twitter feed, I can watch some of these short videos. I'm starting to learn about it. Also, can you tell me a little bit about Bad Eggs as far as what they're all about? Yeah,
of course. I mean, the premise is always been Bad Eggs doing good. Okay. The basketball event that we did in Santa Monica just before VCon, which again, I mean, fair play to Gary. That's 3 big conferences in a row. To finish in LA, and I know he's going to do something again next year, but I mean, a big investment from V Friends and Gary's team, incredible. So we kind of hijacked it slightly in that Bad Eggs, we can be a bit cheeky with some of the things we do. So we parked a basketball bus or an old school bus outside the venue, and you could come and shoot hoops, win a basketball. So we brought positivity, but it was a charity that we used. So they're called Hoop Bus, an amazing charity around Los Angeles and various other states in America, where they bring this bus to deprived areas, to schools that maybe their basketball courts are run down, or they bring joy to the public. And honestly, they're amazing. So we had them for a day. We went to Santa Monica, we went down to Venice, then we drove it into the city. I mean, it was a buzz. The best piece, and it was almost, we've got it on camera, but it was almost like we'd set it up, but we hadn't. There was a group of school kids came out from a sort of, I guess, a special needs, or they had various disabilities. And they all came out and they tried to shoot a hoop, and we gave them balls. And that was almost the epitome of what we're trying to achieve here. So I'll talk about the growth and what we've got coming, but everything we do, a percentage will go back into doing good. And the aim will be that our community can tell us what we need, what needs help. And that could be a basketball court, that could be a skateboard park, that could be a school classroom. But what I want to get to is a point where, whether it's every quarter or that it's a regular piece where we can actually physically give back, show the community that we've done that, and then just have a little tag, Bad Eggs, have done that.
Okay, nice.
So the aim, so we launched the NFT in June. We followed that up now with Vinyl Toys. We're shortly going to announce a major global trading card partner. Yesterday we announced Sony as our record label. Music's a big piece of the brand. So we've got one of the Sony arms will be distributing our music. Okay. As I said, I was in Los Angeles. We've got a writer on board now for the series, because I do want. It's an interesting one because I do want to bring traditional animation to the brand, because I see, I watch animation. Right. Again, I am a kid, but I can see my kids are watching animation. They're watching In the Loud House or Captain Underpants or whatever it might be. I want them to be watching Bad Eggs, and I want them to grow up and feel part of the journey that we're bringing. And also a lot of the holders, again, little penny drop moments that happen when I'm in the Discord. And 5 weeks ago, there's just maybe 50 of us just having a chat. And one of the guys said, I've got to go now. I've got to get my kids from soccer practice. I'm like, oh my God, we've these people have children. Right, honestly, it's a real moment of clarity, which should have been there immediately. It's like, actually, our audience is here. It's not just the holders. We've got this spirograph of fans, and now we've got pictures being sent in of their kids in our Bad Egg t-shirts. And so yeah, for me, it's always the pillars of a brand. So our NFT is a pillar, our first pillar. Publishing will be a pillar, animation will be a pillar, gaming will be a pillar, collecting will be a pillar. And then from those pillars, you can then start to build your house. And then that's when you can go out and start to do other partnership deals, or we've been talking to different sports manufacturers. But you have to have those solid foundations in order to start to lay more bricks on top. And that's what we've done. I've done my whole career, whatever brand I've worked on. So it's no different. I guess the difference being there is only 1,500 of the NFTs out there. So if you hold one, you joined on day one. You joined our journey, and it makes me very proud. So we'll always find ways to look after those holders.
And you'll start off with a series maybe featuring 5 or 10 main character eggs that have certain personalities, and then the rest might get pulled in over time.
Yeah, absolutely right. Okay. Yeah, so we've started the writer that we've just agreed terms with last week is a serial successful writer of family shows, be it on Nickelodeon or Disney or on Netflix. So we'll announce him in the next week or so. But so we'll start with a story based. It's 5 characters, as exactly what you've just said. Actually, it's 5 characters that live in a mansion. They go on adventures together. There's always a positive outcome. So
the bad eggs that ultimately do something good.
Right. And bring positivity.
They try to do something good, and then they kind of sometimes mess up and sometimes go back to their bad ways, but they're ultimately trying to do something good.
100%.
Just like the rest of us, basically.
Do you know what it is? In my head, and again, it's going to show my age, but in my head, it's the Saved by the Bell moment.
Okay.
So at the end of every episode of Saved by the Bell, you'd been taught something positive.
Is this the old show from America?
The old show, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I watched that, yeah. So there's ultimately a lesson at the end.
There's ultimately a lesson.
So it's kind of didactic, and it's got moral to it and it's teaching something.
Exactly.
I think that's super important.
Yeah.
And these bad eggs are from Bad Egg Co. It's like Sunnyvale. They're in New York City. It's got kind of a street vibe to it. So I saw them skateboarding, and I guess the music's got a little bit of that street vibe too. Tell me about that choice. Is that kind of keep it young and keep it fresh? Is it also more fun to kind of play around with that counterculture vibe?
Yeah, I think it is. It's also quite dangerous because that
gotta get it right.
Yeah, that skate culture is brutal if you get it wrong.
Right.
Again, actually, we talked about the quality of product before we started. So we opened an online shop, and actually it's quite interesting because that wasn't for us to hit revenue numbers, but it was because the community were asking.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, well, we want to do something, but now I want to do it right. So we went to a skateboard shop in Camden here in London. And I went in and I said, right, okay, look, we've got this project with it we've launched. We now want an online shop. And so they're making the merchandise, they're shipping globally. But it's good product and it's in their shop in Camden.
Okay.
Really? So it's quality, heavy material. I always say I want it to be something that I'd wear. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Okay. And any other like street elements in here? Will there be like dance and?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we started with, we've got skateboards and the basketball. I want to bring hacky sacks back.
Yeah.
So I want to get some Bad Egg hacky sacks in there.
Nice. I used to hacky sack.
There was a great game. I'm not going to be able to remember it again when I was growing up, and it was California Sports or something. But the front cover, when you went into the game, you could hacky sack, you could skateboard, you could surf.
Okay.
I've got a one-of-one Bad Egg surfboard being made for me.
Okay. All right, so they're going to surf as well.
So they're going to surf.
They're going to break dance maybe?
Yeah.
Bad Eggs? Okay.
Yeah. We've got Sean, actually Sean, who's in the other room. If you're in Oxford Street this week, you'll see Bad Eggs causing some mischief in Oxford Street this week. So we've made a full costume. And we're bringing that to the streets just to cause a bit of mischief.
Okay.
But again, there'll be a good element to it. But
you know what I find interesting about you, Darran, is that you are 110% confident that this is going to work. You know, you're not saying we hope this works or we're going to try this, or you're like, this is happening and we're going to do all these things. And it seems like you already have seen where this is going. And I don't know if that comes from your 20 years of experience and you know when you have something special, or because you're always successful in what you're doing. But I don't feel that or see that a lot.
Right.
A lot of times when founders tell me this, they're like, well, we're going to try the TV series and we're going to try the swag and we're going to see how the token launch goes. You know, I don't know. That's just the thing I'm picking up from you.
Thanks. I mean, it pulls from experience. I mean, I've been I've been in this business 24 years now, I guess. So I've got good friends in good businesses, in good places that we've worked with for a long time, and believe in sort of the visions that we set.
Okay.
I mean, we launched just before Bad Eggs, our first project, I guess, out of the Toikido studio, was Pinata Smashlings. Which I wanted to do something different. So we went Roblox first.
Okay.
But we have a full 5211 animated series in development, which is a $12 million animation budget for that brand.
Wow.
And we have toys and publishing. And we did a Chuck E. Cheese. So 300,000 trading cards we gave out at Chuck E. Cheese across North America. And that again, that was an IP that didn't exist 2.5 years ago. So, I mean, God, maybe I don't know. I've got a real strong belief that people are ready for new things.
Okay.
And if it's new and you're honest, and it's all coming from a good place, and I don't know if you can swear on here, but if you're not bullshitting and you are showing, and also making yourself available. I think there's a lot of brands that launch that will hide behind layers of execs if things start to go wrong, but I like putting my head up, and if it gets chopped off, then it gets chopped off. But I'd rather be available for people. In fairness, Gary, when I met Gary 3 years ago, I mean, he gave me his cell phone number, which I kind of thought was wild because, I mean, trying to get access to him, lots of people were saying it was difficult to get hold of him, and then he's very accessible. So that was sort of a good learning from me coming out of Universal Studios, where it was very layered and corporate to try and get anything done.
Tell me about your relationship with Gary Vaynerchuk. Maybe even tell people who he is that might not know. Yeah. He also invested in Toikido, and you were part of building out his Gary V Friends ecosystem a couple years ago, which was a massive hit at the time. I think you put this project on hold, maybe to help him, and also good to remind us that you've been working on this for 2 years. But what's that relationship like? He was on our show, I think 8 years ago. He came in, and obviously he's huge. He's just huge in the space of social. He's known worldwide for, bringing a lot of intelligence to how people use social. He's built a huge brand where he advises corporations by also connecting with individual fans. He's a unique guy. Yeah,
he's a fascinating. I mean, he obviously has. Vayner Media, Vayner Sports, Vayner X, Vayner V Friends is where we met him. I was fishing with one of the kids from One Direction, who was a mutual friend, and so I was fishing with Liam, and Liam Payne showed me a sketch that he'd done called Lonely Bug, and I just said, look, send that to me. I'll 3D rig it for you, because we can do that. Because if we're taking a sketch to make toys, we 3D rig stuff for production. And I said, look, I'll 3D rig it just in case you ever want to make it into anything. So we 3D rigged it, and then they called me, and he'd met Gary, and they were doing an NFT of Lonely Bug. I mean, we're going back over 3 years, I guess. And then Gary asked who had done that work. And that's how I came in. And I was collecting. I bought a VFriend.
Okay. And VFriend, he dropped was it 600 or something? Or maybe it was less. He had been doing all these sketches over the years, and he decided to turn each one into an NFT, and then the NFT will get you access to the VCon event.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And this is what I remember. And they started going for some ridiculous prices.
Yeah, I mean, I bought in, and again, I do ETH and dollars in my head, because you never know what it's going to be. But I guess at the time, I probably spent $20,000 on a VFriend. But I'd also bought a World of Women, a Boss Beauties, Cool Cat. I mean, I was in.
Okay.
As I said, I mean, I was. My wife was pulling her hair out.
I can
imagine. But I justified it. I said, I'm paying for an education, which my kids now use that fairly regularly if they're buying things. Nice. I'm paying for an education, Dad. New sneakers. So we met Gary. Actually, originally I pitched because I pitched to represent VFriends.
Okay.
And so we actually created some characters that, with his original sketches, there was a fly and there was a whale. So the size difference of the characters was, if you look at our eggs, they're very standardized, and there is a rationale for standardization when it comes to my brain on day one goes manufacturing a product.
Right.
So we standardized, I think, 5 characters of his sketches. And he said, that's great. Could you do all 281? Okay, so we did all 281. And then he said, actually, I wonder what they look like from the back, because it was obviously flat art. Right. So then we did 281 from the back, and then the side, and then and then we missed our own drop, because suddenly, I think it ran into thousands and thousands of pieces of art that we did. But it got us close. Gary then supported us as a business.
Okay.
And it's been great. I mean, Vayner have been fantastic in terms of, as a business, I mean, they do a lot of the media for big sports companies, for big brands, particularly in North America. So we osmosisly get access to some unbelievable companies.
Okay.
Which already my brain thinks, okay, where can we put the eggs onto?
Okay. So you get great connections into these companies.
Yeah.
Because of that.
And he's incredible. I mean, he's been the dream investor of coming into us in terms of support, accessibility.
So it was worth putting on bad eggs on hold for 2 years for that partnership.
You know, it's so funny. Yes, 100%, because I go people first.
Okay.
Financially, it was a different time in the space a couple of years ago.
Yeah, you also had to get through the winter anyways, so.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
You know, would you rather have had the winter happen and then launch eggs?
I'm a big everything for a reason.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you.
And even like we have, it's one of my things when I'm talking to the community, because obviously, as we both know, you have to be very careful of how you're advising or not advising people in the space. And my only advice to people, because some of the holders were criticizing people that have sold, or like you can see this sort of rumor, like this murmuring. Yeah. And I'm like, look, you never criticize anyone that has to sell something, because you don't know what's happening in their life at that time. There might be a necessity. But if you do sell, never look back, because if that does then 20x, don't beat yourself up, because you had to do it for a reason on that day. And I've gone through some of that in our own household. So I've had to teach myself not to look back, because otherwise it'll chew you up.
So now you're launching in what looks like a bull market here in crypto and blockchain. Yeah. Looks like we're moving forward. It's interesting you mentioned the NFT space and OpenSea, that maybe it's at its lows. You know, I had Yatsu of Animoca Brands sitting there 2 months ago, and he said, Brian, if you look at the volumes of NFTs, they're up on this year overall. And a lot of people are shocked to hear that, because NFT seems like a bad acronym these days that no one wants to hear about. But I think, like you said, total volume is up. And if you look at it, NFT was always the worst name for that product, right? Because most people associate NFT, just like they used to associate the word crypto, with something kind of bad. Okay, crypto was a bunch of people trying to make money on something going up. And NFT was something that people maybe tried to make money on something going up, when in fact, an NFT is a non-fungible token that could be your identity. It could be a collectible. It is. Yeah. It's all of these things in the future. You can call it by something else, but it's not necessarily one of 10,000 of one of Boy George's things he sold in 22 on the back of everybody going crazy, you know?
Yeah.
That's only one example. And yet a lot of times it gets associated with that. I always joke my 7-year-old son owns more digital assets than anyone I know, you know, and he's comfortable with it, because on Roblox, he's got everything there. And my dad, who's 79, one of the smartest guys I ever met, doesn't own any and doesn't want to own any.
And on Roblox, it's locked.
Right. It's locked there.
It's locked.
Right. He can't.
And on Fortnite as well, it's locked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where
yeah.
Obviously, you can liquidate.
Right. That's the beauty of Web3.
Yeah. Up or down, but there's still a
same with Robux as well. Like, he loved Robux. All he wanted for his 7-year birthday is Robux. Nothing else. Didn't want to buy, didn't want to just Robux. And I think when he starts to understand that you can turn cash into Robux, but Robux you can't turn into cash, and you can say with the Yoke token, which we'll talk about, I think his eyes will start to light up. Matter of fact, when he understood, so they've been doing chores and they have like piggy banks, and I've been putting pounds in the piggy banks, and they ignore them because those don't mean anything to them. The day he found out that he could take that 20 pounds and turn it into Roblox, he was like, oh my gosh, this is something that's got value, because it helps me in my gaming world. And so I think when he realizes in Web3 that you can go the other way, and I think maybe he'll have a moment like that.
You know, it's funny. Got a bad parenting 101 here, but it was my eldest son's birthday. He was 11, so it's a few years ago, and he got £200, and he wanted to put it all into Robux. And I can still see his mum coming down, and I said,
a lot of Robux too.
And I said, look, you have to hand me the money. So physically, we sat at our kitchen table, and he physically handed me £20, and I bought because it's obviously going. Yeah. But we're halfway through, and I said, look, why are we doing this? This is a lot of money. It's your money, so it's your gift. It's on you. And he said, well, because it'll make me, I'll be able to buy, I think it was the Tron bike or the Bugatti in the game, and then I'll be able to do a YouTube clip for my channel about that content. And do you know what, Brian? I was like, oh God, he's understanding content. And I was like, fantastic. Like, you crack on. And he did. It got him past 1,000 followers on YouTube.
Wow.
I mean, he probably could have got it cheaper if he bought them. But it was a really interesting process of an 11-year-old understanding that journey of you spend here, but you'll get it back here. And
yeah, this is what I always tell parents is that, and I think Yat said this many years ago, before I really understood Web3 gaming. He said, as a parent, sometimes we think the games our kids are playing are the same ones we played. Or we forgot what it's like to play a game and we just say, put the game down, come to dinner, you're wasting time, blah, blah, blah. And Yat always said, let them finish the game. And I think for anybody out there who's a parent, understand that this isn't the game we grew up on. This is community, this is creativity. They're learning math, they're learning capitalism, they're learning economics. Now you're learning the bridge between play and media and brands. Those lessons are priceless. They don't teach that at MIT. They don't teach that at Harvard Business School. They don't, because they don't know what the hell they're doing. And yet this kid's learning it in real time. You know, again, they're trying to teach my kid math at school. I'm sure he's little interest, but when he has to count up his Robux and figure out how much that is, he's like,
I've got a speech that I do. So we weren't touching it, but I didn't enjoy school and was asked to leave 2 schools before I found a teacher that kind of invested in me, and then off we go. But so I go back and I do a speech at school, and I make it. So I do a speech where I talk about gaming and like people that we've been in the ecosystem with, the Sidemen here in London, or talking to Jimmy, talking to Mr. Beast. And so I talk about that because obviously the kids immediately go, oh my God, this is the best job in the world. Yes. And then I go through the whole speech again and I say, put your hand up if you're good at maths. And there'll be sort of a kid. And I'm like, okay, well, I need you, because all those toys that went from China to the US, I needed to know the price of oil. I needed to know the shipping cost, the freight cost. Who's good at music? And I was like, okay, I needed you for the score for the game. And so I go back over everything. And then suddenly the teachers breathe a sigh of relief, because they're not like, God, this guy's teaching them how to play games. Right. But each of those disciplines in education, and maybe it's because I just didn't enjoy it myself, but I think if you can teach those educational disciplines in a more creative way sometimes, not always, but for those kids that need it, I think there'd be a more positive outcome.
Yeah, I think in most cases it would be, because almost all these children are engaging in these platforms now, and the teachers probably know about it, but they can relate to those platforms, and they probably can't relate to that classical education. So that's fascinating what your son was learning and what my sons are learning, to this whole piece. And they're creating games now, which again is kind of, or maybe you're going to create games. I asked my son Damon the other day, I said, you ever create a game? He said, no. He said, his friend is creating one. I said, do you ever want to create one? He's like, no, I don't think so. And I was like, maybe you should. And he's just starting to think about it, But when he's not playing Roblox, he's watching videos of other people playing Roblox. This is what they do. They do it together. They're on FaceTime with their friends while they're doing it,
Which I mean, it comes back to your question earlier of where do we want to take bad eggs? If you want to catch a certain audience, I mean, I think YouTube numbers just overtook every US network for kids viewership in North America. No surprise. I mean, no surprise, but the challenge, and this is maybe going a little bit too granular, but when you get down to talking to one of the major retailers about stocking product, they'll ask, well, what network are you on? And if you say, well, we're on YouTube, they'll be, oh, wow, it's not Nickelodeon. And it's like, no, it's bigger. It's where the kids are now. And so it's just, so one of taking my background and bringing it into this space now, I feel in a very, very strong place to educate. So educating some of these decision makers, which will allow the brands to get out there into mass population and mass adoptership, because it's translating the narrative into what they might understand. I'll give you a good example. I mean, some of the people watching will remember Moshi Monsters.
Yeah, tell people about Moshi Monsters.
Okay.
Because, I used to do a show called Silicon Reel, not London Reel, and we interviewed about 100 of the hottest tech startups right here, because this literally is the Old Street Roundabout, aka the Silicon Roundabout.
That's right.
Because a lot of tech companies were started here because it was cheap rent, cheap real estate, and a lot of...
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.